And immediately in front of me, it's like this doorway of cloud without a door, but it was massive. And beyond it was this beautiful crystal city. And I could see the waterfalls in the backdrop, but it was just pure crystals. And when I stepped into there, it was like you could see almost like golden honey pods. It was like this huge beehive with all the honeycombs. They were pulsating and just beautiful. And I had this knowing as soon as I thought, those are the memories of every single living being. And Archangel Michael says, go and tell them God is.
You've alluded a lot to some earth changes.
So we have many spots within the US, all over the world, who will see waters rising. The stories that you will hear of these people that you always revere to say, oh my gosh, I can't believe they did this. It's not coming in to say, oh my gosh, be fearful of 2030, 2029 when these markets are going to crash. No, it's about preparing yourself now. The next 5 years, there'll be a catalyst of changes. Within 2026, 2027, there will be a lot happening on the Earth sphere. And the reason why it's happening is for us to finally witness without a reasonable doubt that we are simply not alone.
This is Beyond with Heather Tesch, where we examine near-death experiences and life itself, hopefully making this life a little better.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. I am so excited about my guest today. Hello, NEKESHA Burrell.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate sitting in within the space with you and your audience.
Nikki, I have heard you talk, and you bring forth so much wisdom, you and your guides. And I'm so excited for you to share your story of your near-death experience and then some of these other things that you've experienced as well. So I'm really excited. I just want to say to the audience to make sure to stick around through the whole thing. And at the very end, I do have a few things that I want to share with you. But in the meantime, Nikki, just take us to your near-death experience or anything that leads up to it that we need to know, and we'll just go from there.
Oh my gosh. Let me backtrack. I want to backtrack just for a little bit so people understand where I'm coming from. So I am born Jamaican, grown up most of my life in Jamaican, and we were brought up very Christian, very religious. And I was always that child, the last out of four, was always getting in trouble because I'm always the one asking, why are there so many gods? And the reason why I had this association with it, not saying that I wasn't following, but I had this knowingness within me that I have friends who are Rastafarians. And when I'm around them, they speak nothing but love and oneness for nature and all that. And I also had my best friend at the time was going to a church on Saturday. My family was going to church on a Sunday. And as a child growing up, I would hear and also being taught that the ones who were going to the other denominations weren't going to go to heaven. And I remember as a child being very upset with God. Why are there so many gods? And why doesn't my God accept my best friend? And I think I grew into this after a while and just couldn't understand, what it was. I think, you get the hush up because you're a child type of thing and fit in. And I did that. And as I digressed and got older and started to travel, and then I started to experience other religions. And I had friends who were Muslim, and I still saw that there was still love coming out of them. And it just had me more, I don't understand this. So as I grew, I think I just, spread a beautiful carpet over it and I left it there. But that's kind of where I started, not really seeking, but having this inner knowing. So in 2021, after the pandemic for me kind of ushered in a different perspective of life, because who wouldn't? We were literally out of control of what was happening, and we had to just for a second pause, as the angels will tell me, and allow. They use these two words a lot: pause and allow. And I believe COVID brought that in for many of us. And that kind of started the trajectory of me not being so busy in the mind. And I had the opportunity then to really sit with myself. And I could acknowledge that, you know what, there's more. I want to be more. And somehow I felt as if I was becoming. So it took me through this trajectory between Jamaica and New York, and I just paused and allowed. So in 2021, I was in a very doubtful place. And I remember this morning as if it was right now. And my family who was there, I was visiting in New York, everyone had left. The moment they left, I went to take a shower. It's a normal thing. It's the most ridiculous thing to think that, oh my gosh, within that moment you're here and then you're not. And while I was in the shower, I felt this tickle in my throat. I thought to myself, okay, clear your throat. And when I went to clear my throat, there was no breath. I couldn't catch a breath. And I didn't understand what it was. And in that moment, I started to panic. And I remember I felt my hand on the shower curtain and I dragged it off. In that split moment, I remember I had this memory, and I don't know why then, I know now. This memory flashed into my mind before I left Jamaica a month before. My partner there, who is asthmatic, was very adamant that I bring the asthma pump with me. And I was very livid, like, I don't need an asthma pump. I'm not taking it because it's your prescription. I don't want it. So in that split second, I remembered I got the pump and I was struggling to get out of the shower. And I remember I pushed my hand down in my bag and I felt the pump. But in that moment again, I had this flash of thought, but you don't know how to use it. And I just started to almost digress into, okay, I know it's going to happen. And in that moment, my phone rang. I'm gasping for breath. And I thought to myself, why is the phone ringing? And the reason why I bring you back to the phone is when I came to New York, it was my first time getting an iPhone. And I remember also the guy in the store was adamant, you need to do the face recognition. And I didn't trust AI at the moment. And I said, I don't want it. But he eventually convinced me. So I remember in that moment, I have the pump in one hand. I don't know how to use it. And I took the phone up and it dropped. And within that moment, I could hear my hubby on the other side. And I think maybe you heard the gurgling because by that time, I am literally almost not here. And the last thought I remember I had, and I was in absolute annoyance with myself, and I said, my sister and my brother-in-law is going to come see me naked on the DAMN floor. And I was so livid. And in that thought, I don't know when I left the physicality, but I was in this white space. It wasn't a room. It felt expansive. And I had this thought to myself, where am I? And as soon as I had this thought, I saw the silhouette figure of my grandmother, my mother's mom, who had passed away years ago. And I saw her at the youngest stage that I remember her, and not by sight. This memory was of a picture I saw of her when she was younger. And that was Ty. And as I was to think, Ty, where am I? I started to sense and now see these light orbs just populating around me. And I just felt like, oh my gosh, I felt as if I was home. And I realized these light orbs were angels. And for some reason, before I had my NDE, I just knew the regular angels, Archangel Michael, Raphael, but there, as the light orbs were populating, I was identifying each angel. And there were so many of them just populating. And I had this, wow, I'm home. And it really did. People don't like it when I say this, I think, but it felt like a welcome home party. I just felt like, oh my gosh, I'm home. And I had no thought of anything else before. I just knew that, wow, this is a homecoming. While I was there, it almost felt as if I knew everything in a sense, or I was seeing flashes of things that were happening. However, I was observant, and I'll never forget on the left side, I was very interested because it was like there were just rainbows going off over there. And when I looked, as soon as I'm to think, what's that? On the other side, I got this knowing, wow, there's spiritual rehab on the left. And then I had this knowing those were the souls who chose to come to the light when they change forms in the physicality. And they just have some stuff to work with. And when I observed on that side, I could see the angels, and they were like pulsating rainbow colors within and without them, just throughout their silhouette figures. You could still see the silhouette, and you just knew, oh, there's humans, because you could see the human form. And I just had this knowing and excitement for them, like, wow, they came to the light. They are okay. You know what I mean? And immediately in front of me, it's like this doorway of cloud without a door, but it was massive. And beyond it was this beautiful crystal city. And I could see the waterfalls in the backdrop, but it was just pure crystals. And as soon as I had the thought, what's there? My grandmother is like, she blocked the way. And on the right side, this beautiful light orb came up, and then the silhouette figure came up of an angel. And I recognized him as Archangel Raphael. And I had this knowing, like we're old pals, like, oh, you're my main guide. And it's as if he was all of a sudden just showing me flashes of my life. So I remember pre-birth, being in the womb, my choice before that, incarnating on earth. And I was just getting what I know now are downloads. Then I hadn't a clue. I was just seeing flashes of the simplest things that I did in my life. And I was judging myself. I was there and I was saying, wow, I wish you had done that. And I was watching flashes and said, oh my gosh, you could have been kinder there. Because I realized that now I was feeling the impact that I was leaving in all my decisions, silliest decisions. And as soon as I wanted to see more, he directed me through this room to the right. It's not even a room, but I knew it was a space that I was stepping into. And when I stepped into there, it was like you could see almost like golden honey pods. It was like this huge beehive with all the honeycombs. They were pulsating and just beautiful. And I had this knowing as soon as I thought, those are the memories of every single living being. And this one came out, and I had this knowing, no, you're not going to look at all those things. You're going to focus on 3 things today. And the first thing, now I know it's a life review. Then I was just looking at flashes of my life. And the first one I saw, I was 5 years old. I know it. I was in this beautiful red dress. And my sister was getting me ready for something. I don't know what it was. However, it was interesting because I was feeling and hearing her thoughts. I had no feelings of how I felt as that 5-year-old. And it's almost as if I felt this sigh. And she had this thought within her head, I'll protect you forever. And I wondered, what was that? Why did you say that? And they took me back to her childhood. And I could see her in her childhood and a particular event that happened in her life. And one night after one of those events, she whispered a prayer to God. She said, God, if you just give me a sister, I'll protect her forever. And nobody else would understand this. But growing up, my sister is the first one in the family, so she's older than me. And I've always had this rift with my sister. I love her to bits, but I always wanted her to be a sister more than a mother. So I'm always the one that, can't you just chill, just play? You're always telling me what to do. Just be a sister. And within that moment, just that moment, I had this knowing, oh my gosh, that's where it comes from. And I felt this unconditional love. And then I could see where every decision she made with me, where it came from. And as I wanted to look more into that, that went away almost like a hologram, and came up another one. And I was in high school. And I know I thought to myself, that's silly. Why am I looking at this? But it was Valentine's Day, I'll never forget. And there was this young guy in school that really liked me. And he brought a rose to me. And I was there with my friends. I'm young too, and I'm silly as heck at that time. And I remember I refused the rose. I did not remember that I embarrassed him, but in that moment I saw that I did. And this one touched me the most, I think, because I felt how he felt. He was broken. He was broken to pieces. I don't know why that was so overwhelming to me there, but I felt so terrible, like, oh my God, I can't believe that silly act made such an impact on a soul. And as soon as I had that, like forgiveness, like I want to forgive, this beautiful light orb just started to float towards me. And I just had this knowing that's his soul. And I don't know, I had the opportunity, I think, to say sorry. I didn't say anything, but I just had this feeling like he accepted it. After my NDE, I was so desperate to find him because I wanted to know. But when I did, they told me that years ago, he transitioned. And then it came back to me, oh my gosh, thank you, because I got a chance to say sorry to his soul. And the third life review that I saw was in my 20s. I was in Jamaica in a supermarket, and there was this old lady in front of me. And she was there for a while, and there was a line behind me. And I realized, wow, she's having an issue paying her bill. You know what I mean? And she had the stuff, and you know how old people would be. She's telling them, okay, can you take that off? How much is it now? Can you take that off? That type of thing. And within my 20-something-year-old self, I felt embarrassed for her. However, in that moment, I had this thought, I'm going to pay her bill. So I leaned over to the cashier and I whispered, I'll pay for her bill. And she wasn't paying attention because she was, trying to check off, okay, I'll leave this. Like she's trying to figure out, what can I do without? And the teller told her, and then she turned around to me so happy. And I'll never forget this because in my life review, they had me feel this. My hand was like this and she held me like this. And Archangel Raphael allowed me to feel what she gave to me that day, and I had no idea I received something from her. I was more thinking egotistical that, oh, I did something for her, now she can go. But they made me feel something, and she looked at me, she said, thank you so much, and I said, God works in mysterious ways. And I realized that even the words that I used didn't come from me, it was an answer to her. And as I felt what she gave to me, I felt such promise in life. And they took me to this old lady the night before. She whispered a prayer to God. And she said, God, I don't know how I'm going to feed my children. I'm sorry. But you will open the way. And what I did that day, as soon as I had the thought, I heard this sound. And I had the phrase boots on the ground. And it's like I was downloaded. I realized, oh my gosh, I was boots on the ground for God that day. And they showed me how much I concreted her faith in prayer. Because the night before she prayed and this was answered. And not only that, they showed me her sitting down and telling her 2 kids, she had a daughter and a son, about this story and how God answered her prayer, just like that. And they showed me how the daughter, years after, is like just plummeting me throughout these people's lives. That because of that story, she went on to now be helping other people. And they showed me 3 little kids who lived next door who also were fed from that. It's like this domino effect. And as soon as I saw that, it was gone. And I was outside of that room, and I remember it's as if I'm seeing all these choices that I made, but not only what I made, what people are making. And these 2 hands come up. I don't talk about it much. These 2 hands. It's like, it's not about the commandments, the rules, the stories, the religion. It's not about any of that. It's just very simple, and we seem to miss it between the cracks of the chaos and everything that's populated around us. I need to get to this identity. It's whether you choose to give love or whether you choose to withhold love. And that is the choice you make on a human level, to be boots on the ground for God, not a God that you contain, that you own in a box. It's just love. It's a representation of that. And as I was getting these downloads and seeing like the trajectory of the choices that we're making on earth, the disasters that are coming. And then there's another probability. Oh, this disaster don't need to be that bad because you are the ones who are choosing it. Your boots on the ground. You can collectively now become balanced again, like straightening your backs in a sense, to choose not to have these experiences. However, if you choose to do it, it's also okay. And I'm getting these downloads and it's like I had this relief. And I remember I focused again on the Crystal City because I wanted to go there so bad. It felt like that's where I need to go. That's, my grandmother appeared again and she said, it's time to go. And I was like, go where? Because I didn't want to. I wasn't thinking about family or anything. I just wanted to go to that place. And as soon as I had this thought, I don't want to go, I was away from this white space. And I was in this darkness. It didn't feel like a secluded darkness. Within this darkness, it felt as if it just felt magical now that I think about it, as if everything that I could think of was created here. It's like it was creating itself. And as soon as I was to think, where am I? It felt as if a pin pricked the darkest dark you can think of. Like a pin pricked it and the light started to come in. And as soon as I started to focus on that light, I never forget, I felt this breath and I started to feel my body again, back on that floor in my family's apartment. And I took this breath and I didn't want it to stop because I realized this breath isn't even just air. This is a consciousness of what we perceive as God, as light, as creator, as everything. And I realized, oh my gosh, it has been within me all this time. And I started to feel my body again. And the first thing that I felt coming back was fear. I didn't feel it on the other side, but I identified it. Because I was hearing my partner on the phone, still on the floor, and I don't know how much time passed. He was there, livid. Nick, he was calling me, Nick, puff and swallow. And then I could feel the pump still in my right hand. And I just knew I didn't want it. And I didn't want to move too much either because I wanted to go back because I could feel this unconditional love. And I remember I leaned over to my left without touching the phone. I said, I'm okay. And by that time, I could hear my brother-in-law coming through the door, which he had called to come. And I was just lying there. Remember, I have no clothes on. I didn't care. I was just lying there and I was soaking it up. And the first thing that came to me, did I just experience death? Did I just speak to my dead grandmother? Did I just speak to the angels? As soon as the fear started to creep in, something just overwhelmingly just, I don't know if I should say breathed me, but it felt as if something completely took over me. And I remembered every single thing. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I just spoke to my grandmother and the angels. I just realized I am more than everything I ever thought of. And by the time my brother-in-law came in there, he was in a hissy fit. Oh my gosh, I have to take you to the hospital. And I'm just lying there and I'm saying, you don't understand. I just spoke to Ty. And do you know we have boots on the ground? And I'm saying, I just spoke to the angels. And he's like, yeah, you lost oxygen. I need to take you to the hospital. And I was hit like with a ton of bricks because I'm feeling the anxiety and the fear coming out of it. And I'm saying, I don't understand. Why am I feeling that? Why is he so fearful? You need to understand. I just spoke to the angels. We're going to be okay. It's not the way they're showing it. We really have God flowing through us. And he is like in a hissy fit. The more I speak about it, the more agitated he got. It was like, we have to go now. And I just kept breathing. And as I went through the door and he's holding me, take me to the car, I remember I asked him to put the windows down and I had my hand out and the wind was on me. And for the first time in all my life, it felt as if I was the wind. I'm looking at the trees and they're waving at me. And the fear is coming in also, like, you're going crazy. You've never perceived this before. When I went to the hospital, I remember I said to the nurse, I'm really okay. And he was telling her, I think she puffed the pump too much. And she's worried now, like, are you asthmatic? No, you should not use an asthma pump. And I'm like, I didn't. You don't understand. I was with the angels. And there's this crystal city there I wanted to go to. She's like, yeah, this happens if you use too much of that because you're not supposed to. I think you had a massive anxiety attack. We're going to prescribe you this. After all these hours in the hospital, nobody would listen to me. And then I realized, my gosh, they just don't understand. The days progressing from that, I started to get dreams, profound dreams, as if they were orchestrated movies. It's as if a continuation of what I was shown there. And it was challenging for me because now I came back from an NDE that everyone is so fearful about. And as I speak to my family and my friends and people that I know in the church system, they couldn't understand that I was in a space where all love was. And I was speaking to angels, especially the fact that I was speaking to my grandmother who passed away. And it was challenging for me because I didn't know now how to fit in again. Because when I would speak to my family, my parents, I was feeling the fear and they would say to me, I'm okay, man, especially my Jamaican family. Yeah, man, me good, in the Jamaican. And I would say, no, you're not, because I can feel that you're fearful. You want to check me into a psychiatric ward, but I'm really okay. And they would get more agitated. I don't know where you're getting this knowing from. However, something went wrong. And I'm telling them, no, everything went right. And as I digressed the next couple of months, everything started to amplify. I was now sitting down and I was having these conversations with Archangel Raphael, literally just continuing what we're saying and showing me the trajectory of how we choose to experience this earth and how simple it is to live a life in balance. He was showing me the archetype of fear and greed and bitterness and unkindness and how it affects the body and how it affects outwardly your household, your children, the trajectory of our choices, and how important it is to remember our own light, this consciousness that I breathe coming in, and how much I need to give these messages. And I was like, no, I don't. My family already thinks I'm halfway cuckoo. Are you crazy? The most challenging part is coming back with this weight of having these dreams and not knowing what to do with them, because who's going to listen? You know what? There's this volcano that's going to erupt. However, this is the message that's coming from the volcano, and this is what will be unearthed from it. Don't think into the propaganda of the fear. Collectively, we can prove to ourselves that we can pray this away, we can meditate this away, we can intentionally just simply understand that we have a choice of making the change that we're looking for. And as these continued, my parents, I think most of all, including my siblings, were really worried because I egotistically created a family group because within me, I wanted them to know, oh, these are the things I know. And the angels quickly kind of grounded me that, no, this is not what you didn't come back to convert anybody. You came back to allow them to witness, to document the changes that will come. And my mother was the most fearful of all. So I really kept quiet for a long time because they showed me the trajectory. If she didn't open up, not to the confinements of Christianity, but opening up to understand that God is just more. And I never forget, months and months and months afterwards, my mother just called me one day and she said in her Jamaican language, I have 4 children. And I want to know, when I leave this earth, that all 4 of them are going for God. She's strict Christian in her Jamaican language. And I sighed for a minute and was like, oh my gosh, this is my opportunity. But I didn't know how to explain to her because she knows Christianity more than I. And immediately I felt this download coming in, not download. I just felt this energy taking me over. And I said to her while she's on the phone, Mum, can you give me a minute? I'm getting a message. And she got even more, I don't want to hear about this. I said, Mum, just give me a second. And Archangel Michael was just there. And I had this knowing, okay, he wants to show me something, to show her. And I was within this cloud space, and there was this little boy, I never forget. And he was stretching off a cloud, like he was stretching up for something. And I had this thought within this vision, oh my gosh, if he steps, he's going to fall. There's nobody there to catch him. And Archangel Michael said, I don't understand why humans are always searching far and high for God, when God is actually right where you are. And as soon as I was to think, he said, look. And when I looked, I wasn't in the cloud space anymore. I was looking on this huge white mansion. And as soon as I was to think, I was inside the doors. And inside the doors, I could see like infinite doorways, golden doorways, this most beautiful thing. And I noticed with the angels, as soon as I'm to have the thought, I'm there. So as soon as I was to think, okay, what is this? I was inside the first room. And when I was in that room, it was the exact replica of my mom's church. He had the organs playing and they were singing and it was exact. And Archangel Michael said, within this room, do you feel God? And I said, yes. I was really happy about it. As soon as I was to start thinking about that, I was outside that door and in another door. And in that other door, there was incense and I could hear the drums beat and I could smell it. He said, within this room, do you feel God? But I could feel God. I could feel the love within that room. And I said, yes. And he took me out of another room and he took me in another one. And then there was like, I knew it was like Indian native. So it was like the dance. I could see it. However, you could see the angels there as well, these light orbs. And I had this knowing, oh my gosh. And by then I think I had the idea of what he was saying. But when he took me in the next room, it was this dark space. There's one table, one chair, and there was this girl. And she was crying as she had her head down. And I thought to myself, that doesn't fit. And Archangel Michael says, everyone who has a perspective of what God represents to them creates also for themselves a room. And rightfully so, they should. It's a containment that they create to represent God, and also not just that, to try to own God. But when I looked at this girl, although she was in this solemn place, I could see the light orbs around her. And I knew the angels were comforting her. And there was so much love within that room. It didn't seem as if she was perceiving the love. But however, she was within a space of love. And he said, do you also feel God in this room? And I said, yes. And as soon as I was to have that thought, I was outside of this mansion and I was looking at this huge white mansion. And he said, can you contain God in that mansion? And as soon as I was to answer, and I think maybe I would have said yes, but as soon as I was to respond, everything just started to populate, the mountains, and I could hear the water running, and it was just populating. And then I never forget this, I heard the birds singing, and I just had this feeling, that's also God. And I was like, no. As soon as I said that, there were more mansions being populated. And I had this overwhelming feeling, oh my God, we've created so many rooms. Trying to contain God. And he said, do you feel God out here? And I said, yes. And he took me further up. And when I went up, I wasn't seeing the mansions anymore. I was seeing multiple earths. I was in this space of creation and it was just populating. He said, do you feel God here? I said, yes. And Archangel Michael says, go and tell them God is everything, everyone, everywhere. He cannot be contained, identified, or owned. And as soon as he said that, I was just engulfed with just whiteness, like white clouds, and I was back. And by then, My mother was still on the phone, and I don't know how much time went by, and she was agitated as daylights. What's the matter with you? Because she, I think, was so fearful. And listen, Heather, I got to that phone and I said, I'm ready. And I expressed to her everything that Archangel Michael just showed me. And for the first time in my 40 odd years alive, my mother was quiet when I was talking about what God represented. She didn't say anything. And when I was done, all she said in her Jamaican language, all right then, I can go to sleep. Now I know you're talking about God. And I felt the fear just dissipate. And she hung up. She just left me there. And I sat within the space and I kept saying, thank you. Because also for me, I did not have that perspective where I could explain to anyone. And I think they gave me a gift that day. Instead of trying to tell people about my NDE, the whole point is telling them about the representation of what God represents, this name that we've convoluted because I want to own it and this suits only me. And what the angels have taught me so far is they're breaking these walls down in these mansions that we created, these rooms, to say God belongs to me because we are the chosen one. God belongs to me because we pray this way. God belongs to me because I only nurture the earth. God belongs to me, or whatever name you want to give it. And it's the time now. It's a chosen time now because of everything that's happening in the earth and the expectation of doom and gloom and a World War III and everything. Somehow it has been orchestrated for this time when the world is about to lose its absolute mind to understand. You're losing it because you chose to. You chose to forget that the love is within you that you seek without. You chose to make a decision. I am going to withhold love from myself because the trauma that I experienced when I was 2 or 5 or 13, I still go there every day. Not understanding that the only time I was to go there was then, not to see and acknowledge the trauma or the pain or the shame or the atrocities, but to learn the lesson once and peek through the cracks and see, but look, I overcame. Within those cracks birth something within me that is absolute unconditional love, not love with conditionality to say, I love you if you do this. The angels don't understand. You have the choice to love unconditionally to yourself, and you put conditions on yourself. Oh, why couldn't you be lighter color? Why couldn't you have fuller hair? And they showed me every time you do that to yourself, you become your own abuser. You concrete the darkness that you say is permeating your being. The disappointments that you get is because you expect it. You've given up on your light. And I've learned from sitting across the screen from so many people who feel depleted on this earth, from every single part of this planet. I've spoken to people from Africa, from Netherlands, from the Caribbean, from the Europe, from Asia. I'm sitting across the street from them. The first thing you see is fear in them. I don't know where I'm going. I need guidance. I need help. And the reason why that happens is because the angels show me you have diminished your light because you want to acknowledge this identity is not popular. This I must get to. And you forgot to take this journey. And they tell me it's 12 inches from your head to your heart. Many human beings will take a day, a month, but there's so much more of you who will live your entire lifetimes never feeling what your heart wants you to feel. Because we live right here into the paradigms of what society said and the ancestry said and the struggle that was laid down and the experiences that you had, not understanding that your ancestry and the history and the stories were only for you to witness and document. Oh, that was done for me to be more. It was not experience for me to still be in the struggle. It was experience that allows me now to stand in my truth and my power for the generation that lays on my back. To choose today, I'm going to love me unconditionally. I don't care what happens after that. Because when you stand into that paradigm, it spreads like wildfire. It's time for that. For the children within your household to feel you loving yourself so much that they want some of that. That when they go into the schoolrooms, which we have so much problems now of children who feel depleted, the energy of love that you emanate by remaining within your light. The angels do this a lot. Stand in your light by extending yourself and owning that, I am more. I'm not the constructs of what society says. And the children feel it from the womb. They don't come traumatized because while they were growing within this sacred space, all you kept doing was withholding love from yourself, meaning you're withholding love from them. And they can move into the society spreading that light like wildfire to look at another child, and instead of choosing to be unkind, I am kind to myself because that's what my mother is. So I'll be kind to you. And have that child who is in a broken home feel that energy of love. This is how they show you spread the wildfire. And in turn go into his household and not soak up the negative energy that's there, and instead become the light within this dark space that starts also to change the trajectory of his family, his community, and the choices they make, instead of looking on children and other people and judging them to say, you know what, I don't know how that mother handles that child who is considered disabled or on the spectrum. I had a lesson with this once where they showed me, children on the spectrum are the ones that we identify as disabled. The angel said, you don't understand, look. And when they showed me to look, I could see on a soul level, these advanced souls, they chose to come here. They chose these families, these mothers, not because they knew all the answers, because they were the containers of the love they were bringing. These ones that come here as a lesson to us, to teach us unconditional love in another light, to say, I can give love unconditionally, even though I don't walk the way you identify a normal person should. And I may not articulate speech the way you say normal people should, but I am also a representation of love. And I give it unconditionally, whether you're unkind to me or not. All I came here to give is love. And they showed me how much we fail at this, because we look at them, because we try to identify what is normal, and we don't try to go to our hearts to say, this is actually love. I want a piece of this. This is not me fearing so much somebody who looks different than me, has a different color, speaks different. They pray different. They practice different. They eat different. I'm so fearful of the notness that I'm not. I'm not like them. They're not me, that I choose to judge them. Or I choose to observe something happen in another land. And the choice I make, I don't care, because that is not my people. And the angel said, do you know how powerful it is if you would just whisper a prayer of healing and health and wellness and love within these regions? How powerful that is for you to be boots on the ground in this time. It's just amazing when you start to look on life from a completely different perspective. A perspective that starts from love, not from lack. From freedom, not from fear. From knowingness, not belief. I believe this because it was told to me, it was taught. To knowing that, no, I know this because it feels good in my heart. There's a huge difference. And when we hone into this light that we've been dulling within ourselves, we realize the earth really naturally starts to change in front of our eyes, because we don't see an enemy. We see an aspect of God who is a mirror of ourselves, and it reciprocates. And don't forget yourself, where this all began, where your light began, and settle no more for anything that does not serve your heart. Understand that everything that you are is abundance, and have an expectation to equally exchange for abundance, opening yourself not only to the paradigms of earning the physicality of what you call money, but nurturing and bartership of receiving all there is, the kind words, the smile, the advice, the gift, and also the energy of money, but also the sustainability of a universal world where you all barter with each other. Understand this at this moment as you step into yourself, and remember the energy that you are is love. Allow your bodies to speak to you and tell you, is this right for me at this moment? And feel what your body tells you. You feel the energy depleting from your being. It is simply telling you at this moment, this is not right for you. Listen. The aspects of love and God and righteousness and everything that you seek without has always been within. However, the stoplight that you are within your mind construct of everything you've witnessed and experienced, that is your alarm system. It does not grow with you. It tries to protect you. However, as you grow to become what you wish to be, please understand that you have to step out of the paradigms of the brain to your heart so you can hear the gentle whispers that says, it's okay. You will overcome. Just be kind. You are love. You are enough. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that just came.
Oh, don't be sorry at all. That was wonderful.
That came from my guides, and that just happened. Within any messages that comes through the angels, I want you to understand it's not about listening to words as much as feeling into what you receive. It is an exchange. It is about rebooting your thought system. It's about rebooting your soul. It's about awakening that dormant part within you that has always been whispering subtly to say, yes, you can. You can try. It really will get better. I will overcome. And when messages come from the angels, it's really amplifying that voice so you can be able to sit with yourself in a quiet space and just hear it. And if you're open enough to simply hone into your heart, sometimes for a few seconds a day, and remind yourself, I love you, and breathe. I am enough, and breathe. For a second, you literally feel an angel consoling you, just like that girl in my vision with the table and the chair, crying because she has let down her light, and she would not hold her head up long enough to perceive the amount of support she had. And also, she did not look within to realize the light that she actually was. She was a representation of so many of us who feel depleted from society because of sexuality, because of my belief, because of how I look and talk, because they classify me as disabled, because they say I am the spectrum. And when you are in the physical body, you do feel the limitless. You feel I am limited and I don't know what to do. And your soul knows that it is not confined by anything. So when you experience or witness people who are like this, send them love and healing. It helps them to remember, this is why I'm here. I am this container of love. I don't need to feel limited. However, I'm standing here to teach them that love comes in different forms, different languages. even if you're not the normals, walking on two legs with your hands swinging and 10 fingers, and what we perceive as proper speech. Love does not come through the speech, it comes through what are you feeling in your heart. And a child, if you don't understand what I'm saying, observe a child for a moment. A very small child who has not been affected by the paradigms of anything limited. Do you notice them? They are always at play, always expanding, and no matter what you do to them, they always give you unconditional love. And we forgot that because we started to create these rooms that they spoke about. And I want you in this room or else I won't love you. And many of us don't understand this limitation to this love we talk about. I don't like that neighbor because they're from that country or they represent that or they look this way. And when you do this within this universal cell we call the earth, we cause dysfunctions within this earth body. And we will continue to see pockets of cancers show up in this earth. And we will say, oh my gosh, that's terrible. How could they have chosen to do that with those children? How could that disaster come in and hurt so many people? How could they choose to start a war for no reason? What are you doing now within yourself to make a choice that enough is enough? It's time for us to hone in to our role as human beings and simply just be. Be the love, be the light, be the love, be the light. The opportunity that's in front of me today, as I go through my door and there's somebody homeless, think to yourself, do I choose to give love or withhold love? Not what you don't have. Sometimes it's a simple smile. That's enough. Sometimes it's just being kind. That's enough. Sometimes it's just not wishing bad for somebody else. You don't know, you know what, I don't understand it, but I wish them the best. That's enough. And most importantly, when you face yourself, this is where it starts. I love you. You deserve. You are enough. And from there, miracles happen. Magic happens. Life happens because you start to perceive it within this balanced space where you understand the light that you are. That's it.
Nikki, you've alluded a lot to some earth changes and also, that we have the power to change some of this. But what are some of the things that you are seeing? You referenced volcanoes. What else are you expecting and kind of what is the timeline?
The timeline changes, and it doesn't change because it's projected that way. It changes according to how we choose to deal with what's happening now. For example, a war is out now, and we could have made the decision to have it prolonged. It diminish and it diminish a little bit faster. And how is the collective dealing with it? Is there still anger towards this war? Is there still judgment going on towards this war? And the trajectory of everything else is like a domino effect. So yes, energetically, the earth will have disasters that happens, but is it the first time? No. What we have to hone into is as the super hurricanes come in the places that we never expected them to come, and the waters rise as they rise where they should, within the US, within parts of Asia, we see these happening a lot. But just because they are happening, understand that they will come. Most of them were already on the trajectory to it because of choices that we made on a human level, things that we did to Gaia, to the atmosphere that many people still don't know. And the earth somehow is trying also to cleanse itself, like a dog with fleas trying to shake off the things that are there that doesn't serve it anymore either. Do you understand? So we have many spots within the US, all over the world, who will see waters rising more than usual. We have been seeing it. It's nothing new. However, what the angels show is the probabilities of change. Many of them that were supposed to be super volcano eruptions have dissipated because there are people out there who's talking about it, probably in a fear-mongering way. However, we as a collective have chosen, oh, absolutely not. I do not want to experience that super volcano. And it does happen because we need to witness that it actually did happen. However, you have this breath of fresh air to say, it wasn't as bad because it was the choice that you made collectively. Now the cells are learning how to be balanced in a sense. Within the political structures, there's so much upheaval. And they want you to understand it's as if we called in a demolition team. We said, this isn't working for us anymore, the political system. In our country, in the US now, and in so many other countries in Europe, in England, these places, we'll see kind of a shift in how the political way is being presented to the populace. And as these, they call it the boulders of these buildings fall, what is to come from it, don't allow it to distract you. The stories that you will hear of these people that you always revere to say, oh my gosh, I can't believe they did this. I can't believe they believed in this. Don't allow that to distract you. Understand that the angels want you instead to focus on this new building that you are about to build with the new politics that is being ushered in. So give it yourself 2025, 2026, 2027, and the changes will start to subtly come in. And then there's going to be, let's say, a catalyst moment when the earth will have to choose, oh my gosh, am I going to stick to the fear or understand this evolutionary path that the earth has taken? Am I going to hone into the fear that's given to AI, or am I going to own it and place within this fear love, even though there are others who are thinking of making it something of darkness? Am I going to remain to be fearful, or am I going to also give light? They show almost a split within the earth, but not a split of the earth. It's just a split of people, how they think. Say, you know what? I know usually, as a woman, within this realm, within this space, in the Middle East especially, where women are going to stand in their truth and their power, where we've never seen it as long as we shall live. And they want me, I guess, to focus on this more, to say the feminine energy is arising so much that you will say, I never knew I'd live to see the day of this uprising. They call it the quiet revolution, where you see a woman with her hands up that usually was so dormant and did not have a voice. And this woman will stand in power and say, I am standing for truth. I'm tired of my children and my husband dying because of this paradigm that you held on to that really doesn't serve us anymore. I am the catalyst for change here. And when that starts to happen, when we see these women starting to speak within these spaces where usually when you do, it is immediate demise, they will start to understand, wow, I had this light within me all this time and I had this support because I am speaking, and somehow the voices that were always heavy are now dormant. They're not even here anymore. If you can see the depletion of these aspects of darkness that was within the earth that caused so much complacency, all of a sudden you hear in the news, oh, this one is no more, that one is no more. The angels want you to allow it. Allow the demolition team to do as it needs to do, to usher in the new light and the new wave. They don't want the earth to focus on the disasters that will come, because the earth is not seeing it for the first time. But what they want the earth to understand is it's the first time in a long time that you're not going to completely annihilate yourself. And there's a chuckle with that, to say you should pat yourselves on the back, because for the first time in a long time, incarnations of Gaia, you call the demolition team in of support, because you said to yourself, enough is enough. Before you hit rock bottom, you said that. You said, I am more. What more can I do? I am in corporate. I'm a millionaire, but you know what? There's this calling on my soul. I want to give service. That's what they want you to focus on. not giving you a timeline. But the only timeline they always gave me to say, within the next 5 years, there'll be a catalyst of changes. Within 2026, 2027, there will be a lot happening on the Earth sphere. And the reason why it's happening is for us to finally witness without a reasonable doubt that we are simply not alone, that we have always been supported. And when that happens, it will give another couple years for us to say, you know what, do I believe it or not? Do I own it or not? Because there are people who are still going to decide, I prefer to stay with the old paradigms. I'm used to that. I trust that. I don't trust this new way of going. I can't trust my heart. I've always trusted what my mind told me. I prefer to go with these guidelines. And what is going to happen within the next couple of years is just simply a ushering, spoon feeding us. You're not enough. You're not alone. That's the first thing. Secondly, you are supported. Thirdly, the darkness that we fear so much simply goes down to simple things as envy, bitterness, unkindness. And it's so powerful that if we keep honing in to these feelings, to these fear structures, it literally manifests, giving us exactly what we expect, the doom and the gloom. It shows us that the light within us is more powerful than any darkness, and that is why they're allowing you to witness the fall of so many revered structures, not just people. The people that fall within the paradigm of the next 3 years, which will be quite a lot, aren't a representation of people. It's a representation of what you believed. What you believe was an identity that you needed to sit within. And they're teaching you to say, look at this. Now that you realize that what you've always revered has only been a distraction of you, now look within. And as this happens, allow the younger ones who understand the assignment to usher in the new way of politics, the new way of education, how we now train children how to be within their creative sparks instead of being confined. You have to fit within this paradigm. Otherwise, you are not able to be a part of this normal society. We all of a sudden become one. And most importantly, Gaia speaks a lot about the industrial farming, how we have trained ourselves to depend on PHARMACY. It was amusing for me that I learned, well, have you not thought about the FARMACY? You depend on the synthesized way because it's easier, it's more attractive. But when is the last time you listen to your bodies to say, body, what do you need to be healthy? What do you need to sustain me on this earth plane to give out this light that I am instead of depleting myself? So there's a lot to be unpacked, but understand that it is for your becoming and basically a cleaning of the body, of the cells within this earth to say, wow, we actually can have a peaceful earth. Not in the next 5 years for sure. 2030 is a catalyst year again. And it's just a year that's coming in. 2029 to 2030 is coming in because it's like the final stand to say, do I want to have the same financial system? Because we depend so much on money. And they speak a lot about honing into abundance. And that's a year that many people are going to be so agitated. I don't want to lose this. I don't want to lose that. And when that energy goes out, there is always almost like a Great Depression, in a sense, because you become fearful of something that is outside of you instead of focusing. You know what? If I plant crop, I can now barter with this individual who has animals, who has, and just starting to hone into your creativeness. But it's not coming in to say, oh my gosh, be fearful of 2030, 2029 when these markets are going to crash. No, it's about preparing yourself now. Creatively, what am I good at? So I'm no longer dependent on these things, these structures. Do you understand? So it's a preparation period, not a period for you to be fearful. Say, oh my gosh, I don't want to be here when that happens. No, it's preparing yourself. This creative spark that I have, this service, the service to mankind, the service to myself. I'm a musician. I never thought it could sustain me. Let's hone into that because it makes me feel happy, right? I want to work with the children. I want to work with this. I am an artist, although I've always been in corporate. Let me start doing that. It's bringing your childlike self back to the forefront where you did not have fear, and you start to prepare yourself for the day when mommy is going to say, I'm so upset at you. But as soon as she does, she breathes and she hugs you again. Do you understand? So that's the phases that the earth is taking you through. Don't take it as something that God is going to turn his back on you or the universe is going to annihilate itself. We've done a lot from fear. And in the next couple of years, let's say the next 5 to 7 years, we are going to see these structures just literally fall along the wayside because it cannot contain the truth that we're standing in now. It just can't. It cannot contain women being in parts of the world and not having the right to speak about their bodies or to speak about their truth. It cannot contain children who are feeling so depleted and literally want to check out with it before their times because they feel as if they're not supported and nobody understands them. They're misunderstood. It's ushering into that time where we look at everyone and understand, why is it that I have millions of dollars in a bank and there's so many hungry people there? I can hone into this service just because. Do you understand? This is the change. This is how we need to perceive it because this is the truth and the holy way of seeing this beautiful earth that's just basically changing her dress. Gaia told me once, I'm just changing my dress. Allow me to change my dress and get rid of all these rips and these tears within my laces so you can see a reflection of yourself and understand that you also deserve a new dress. You know, so that was kind of beautiful for me when I was explained the trajectory of where the earth is going from the choices that we choose to make now.
And so if we choose more service and more of us do that, could we avoid some of these changes, like you mentioned, the stock market crashing?
The need to have the stock market is fear. The need to hold on to the physicality of money is fear. What we are going to not avoid but walk into is your knowingness that you already sustain. And what that does is bring forward a financial system that equally sustains everybody. It's not just for one sector and not for the other. So it's about balancing the financial sector. It's about balancing the healthcare system. It's about balancing the education system where some people are like on the outside peeking in. Oh my gosh, I wish I could be a part of that. And what it's doing is breaking down the structures that were very egoic, that were very masculinely structured to say this is only for this sect. And that is what it's really doing. It's not saying, oh, are we going to avoid this? We aren't avoiding anything. We are bringing in something new. We are evolving the way these things have been structured to suit us equally, where people are going to start thinking to say, you know what, I have this company. I decided to do it this way, but not everybody can afford it. I have this financial system. However, the percentages of people to purchase a home, people on the lower market really can't afford it. These are the structures that will be changing, that will be ushered in to say, this is now equally bound. They said fair exchange. So consider now fair exchange is being ushered in every single sector that you can think of. And that is where we're stepping into.
I have to go back to a couple of things that you mentioned during your near-death experience.
Right.
I was really fascinated when you saw this spiritual rehab. And you also said that these were people that chose to come to the light. They weren't quite ready. But then that also implies there are people that don't choose to come to
Yes.
the light.
Yes.
So where are they? What happens to them?
Okay. When I had that visual in the NDE, I know I had that thought also because that question came in. So what they showed me is when you have this change of forms, the way they explained that to me, and it was pretty very beautiful, is visualize yourself walking in the sand. And the life process is you experiencing your feet in the sand. And the death process is stepping outside of the sand into the water of infinite life. Now, there are some souls, for one reason or the other, who, when they are going through the death process because of embedded fear or belief systems, they see the water and immediately become fearful. The water represents the light. And they choose to stay back to what they've been used to. I'm used to being in this house, in this job. I'm used to being with my family. And because of that, they have a choice also in the death process. Either you go with the light, with the angel, because, and the reason why I had this issue also with my mom, let me go back there for a second. I had this knowing that when my mother's time came, because there are people within this earth who has changed forms that she never got along with within the family. And they showed me that they are going to be there to meet her. And I knew my mother. I know that if she sees them during her death process, she's not going to go to the light. So this was something that I have to teach her. I have to teach her.
So these are people that are people she thought would not go to the light. So therefore, when she sees them,
Yes, because of the thought system. So when you see them, you think, no, I know you are in hell. I am not going there. And what the angels want you to learn is it's not about the hell and the earth structure. If that's the thought system that you believe in, you will experience in so much because it's what you believe. It's what you're honing here. However, they are souls who choose to remain for one reason or the other, but it's mostly for fear. And these are what now I learn they call spirits. They're here, and not all of them are, let's say, I don't want to use the word dangerous, but they're just present here. And they just feel lost here. And all of a sudden, if they remain in that realm, it's like the light that they are start to dull because all of a sudden you're in a space between time and space. And people experience it. Oh my gosh, there is this energy that I feel here and it's so sad and it's so low. And I've learned that that is simply just a spirit. And until they choose, you know what? I'm ready to trust the light. They remain within this time between time. And yes, there are people who go through the death process who experience what they perceive as hell because it's what they truly, truly believed. And when you get to that point, you still have a choice to trust the light, but I still don't trust it because what is that? I can't trust that. This is what I believe. But on the other side, the most important thing is spiritual rehab, from my perception there, they're souls who leave this earth who check out early. And they have some things to work through. There are people who leave this earth, and as soon as you go back to spirit, you all of a sudden know every choice that you made. And you feel some type of way, the choices you made. I wish I had been a better father. I wish I had been a better mother. I wish I just hugged him one last time. And that's what they call spiritual rehab. And they get a chance to probably go through the process. And like I did with this soul, to kind of send a message or have a chance to send a dream or something to that loved one that gives you this feeling of completeness. But the ones who are left here who choose not to go to the light is always available to them. You're not stuck in Never Never Land. And most times it takes another family member who changes forms to drag your Bahudi there. It just works that way, where you just need to work yourself up to trusting. Trust in the light, trust in the process. And this is why the angels want us to own into our lights while we are in the physicality. So you are familiar with that feeling of unconditional love. Do you know what I mean? Somebody who's ostracized people while you're alive When you change forms, you immediately are faced with every hurt that you gave to people. Imagine that. Somebody who spent all of their physical life hurting people, you start to feel how they felt. And many spirits who don't go to the light feel this overwhelming shame, and they are all of a sudden aware of everything, everyone, everywhere. God is really love. That light is love. And the shame causes them not to want to face it. I can't face it. How will that light of love accept me? But there's always someone there ushering you in until they are ready to look up and say, I welcome this light. It's unknowing, but it feels so good. I've never felt it in the physicality, but will you accept me? And that's it. And when that person goes to the light, they also have to go through what you call spiritual rehab. They have things to work through. However, it's just this cycle of you making choices now in the physicality. Am I going to give love as much as I can give it? Am I going to withhold it and hurt as much people as I can? And this is the deciding factor of your trajectory of moving from this beautiful sand of life to infinite waters of life and love. Do you understand?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One more thing I have to get to that you mentioned when you were talking about some potential future events, and you said something about, I jotted this down, that we will know that we are not alone. Now, when you said that, I went, does that mean we'll know like there's angelic help around us? Or does that mean we're going to discover that there is other life out there, whether
Both.
on other planets or other dimensions?
It's both. It's like everything in
Coming
one
soon?
container. It's everything in one container. I also have the privilege of honing in to my Octurian family, who is beautiful race, just beautiful beings, but they're matter of fact, meaning when they communicate, it almost feels as if it's coming without emotion. You don't feel love. Why? Because they only speak what's holy and true to you. That's it. It's either you take it or leave it. But they've shown me the trajectory of 2026, 2027, although this has always been happening. But the trajectory of where we are going now is that they want now for us to document, witness, and start rewriting our own history for us to get used to the knowingness that our ancestors knew that there is help, not from the skies, but help from other dimensions. Do you know what I mean? So because of the amplification of social media and the proof of people doing their own recordings now, not like years before, they have chosen now to use that timeline to appear in a way that cannot be doubted. Let's put it that way, where people can actually document, see it, record it. And when the distractions start to fester, because there's a fear mongering within, let's say, our governments, they're fearful. And there's a fear mongering within the religious structures. They're fearful because if we now understand that we are not alone, what does that say about the history that we wrote? Do you understand? And from any of these beings who are absolutely benevolent, they do not want to force feed anything. Do you understand? To say, oh, we are going to do this right now and the earth is not ready. So everything is set on a trajectory of how much will they perceive this when this happens in this region this one time. But not just there, we are popping up within this sphere and we're popping up there and we will remain there for 2, 3, 4 days so they can document it. Do you understand? And what we're doing is allow them to be used to the aspect, to the idea, we're not alone and it's also safe. Because over the years, what has happened, because it wasn't properly documented, people apply fear to it. But the fear has always been among us. The fear has always been embedded within all these structures that we now revere in the entertainment industry, in the political industry, in the industrial farming industry. That fear that we've been fearing what we call malevolent, we call darkness, has already been embedded. That's why we have these pockets of so many atrocities happening around us. They also propagate things that will make you so fearful that you want to remain within this shell and dull in your light. Do you understand? So it's not just, oh, extraterrestrial and people are going to become fearful. It's a combination of both. It's like a consciousness awakening where people understand I am connected with more than myself. And in there is love. And that is the first frequency you get, where you now understand yourself. And by the time that is to happen, where you start to perceive, oh wow, there are actually advanced beings that has always been there, that has supported us. By the time it gets to that phase, you are already tapping within yourself. You already understand that you're pure love. And then by that time, you're able to perceive if what is being projected to you is also of love.
I find it so fascinating that there are so many near-death experiences now that talk about this connection to these other beings,
Right.
and I am seeing it more and more. So it's really interesting to hear this.
Just remember that everything is completely choreographed. I found that interesting when the angel said to me, every single thing that is happening is not by accident. All of a sudden, people who are perceiving, who are feeling more, who have this need for service, it's like an awakening cell within your body that's tapping on your shoulder like, yeah, it's time to wake up now. It's time to remember now. It's time to love you now. And the first thing that comes in really is fear, to teach you that, whoa, this is the thing that's been holding me back. I really am more than this. And yes, I know talking about extraterrestrial is like way off the charts. A couple of years ago, I would sit and say, yeah, that person is woo woo. Absolutely.
Same here. Yeah.
So when you start to have these personal experiences and you hone into it and realize, this is coming from love, and you see the perspective and understand the support that Earth has been receiving over the eons of times, then you get to breathe and say, wow, we really are living in the best of times, although people say it's the worst. We just need to advance our mindsets. Technology is advancing. I remember the Octurian said, so why are you afraid of technology? Why is it that technology is advancing and you still decide to keep your mindset in barbaric times? Why aren't you also advancing your own heart, your own thought system, to be accepting of oneness, to be accepting of the power that you have within, to be living as one with nature, actually caring for what happens? And they said to me, don't you observe that around you, the animals are showing you what the new earth is going to represent? And I found that interesting. They said they're animals who you also thought was barbaric, who all of a sudden are starting one by one within like one race, for example, a lion, a tiger, or whatever type of animal that we thought, oh, that's barbaric. Don't you see that they're no showing that there's one out of them who's making a change that can actually contain love with a human, with safety? They said, why are you missing these things? This is the mirror that's showing you the trajectory of where you are going. And we have to spoon feed you because your physical brains can't take everything we have to tell you. However, why I am excited about this upcoming time, because when we get comfortable with our neighbors, everything that we've been seeking as far as history is concerned, they already have that information for all of us. So people won't be seeking, oh my gosh, I need to find the spiritual person here to find out this. You will also be downloaded with all this information, because those are advanced beings, literally our families, who have the history of everything that we have sought all our lives. These stories, these history, these modalities, the gift within the earth, the gold, the real function and reason why the earth self sustains itself with the crystals and the golds, the real purpose of them, the real power and magic that comes from them. And we'll be able to see, like I've foreseen, what happened in these worlds before us. Do you understand? It's the Atlantean times, and they'll be able to show you exactly what happened then and how they honed into the power of the crystals and the gold and Gaia and literally just made magic, which we are not being able to hone into. Why? Because we're holding on to so much fear structures that if we knew them, we would actually annihilate this earth. So it's exciting.
It is exciting, and this is potentially a few years away.
A few years away for us to witness them, for us to perceive, wow, they exist. Because remember, when that happens, we still have, hopefully not a great majority, but we're still going to have people who are really holding on to fear. Although they're looking at an extraterrestrial in their backyards, life to them, they're still going to be so fearful they don't want to accept it. They're not coming in to cause fear for anyone, but they need us at this point to witness and to get used to it and understand, listen, we're also coming from love. We're also showing support. Now, the timeline you asked about before is going to be dependent on us. How soon we get used to this new paradigm. How soon we get used to the technology that can be unearthed from this union. How soon we can understand, wow, if we follow these structures, these new knowings and downloads that we'll receive, how much longer the human body can live, how much of us will trust it, and how much of us won't. And it will go through the system. That's why I was talking about the crash. People are just in so much fear, and that trajectory can still change. Hopefully, when that does happen and people start to witness it, they will start to tap into their hearts and say, feel, how does this feel to me? Is this holy and true? Is this of fear or is this of love? And if we learn, and I think that's why these messages are coming out now, to train people how to listen to their energetic bodies, the heart space, and to start practice ourselves in day-to-day decisions to say, how does this feel to me? Because when that starts to happen, we can start tapping into our heart space also and say, is this true for me? And as soon as your heart accepts it, then you will start to perceive them more. And if you don't, and if you become fearful, you'll find yourself standing beside somebody who is perceiving them and you won't. Because the aspect and the whole intention is not to bring you fear, but to open the space for those who are ready. Do you understand? And that's simply how it's going to be. However, don't be fearful because I said this, because I didn't have the intention to bring fear. I want you to own your truth and your power and know that there's so much more in this world for us to discover. And it's not doom and gloom. It's really, really exciting things because we came here as these containers of love and light, and we've dimmed them too long. And most people say one topic shouldn't have anything to do with the other. You shouldn't speak about angels and extraterrestrials, but you don't understand. We are one universal body, this whole universe, and none is without the other.
This is so fascinating, and we are way over time, and I still have questions.
It's
So,
okay.
really quick, really quick. When we have them helping us because they have all this knowledge, could that counter, when you think of technology, there can be so much good from it, but also some negative
hmm
aspects. Can they help counter some of the negative
They have.
things that could come?
They always have. You have no idea.
Oh, interesting.
They always have. In everything, there is what we call ethics, but extraterrestrials have helped the powers that be in the technologies that you enjoy today. You will know in time, in very good time, but they've always helped. there are people among us that people say, oh my gosh, they're crazy for those things that they're saying. And there will be more people. This is exciting. There will be more people who you would not expect who will come up with these beautiful technologies, and they will come out and say, I got that information from extraterrestrial. This is what's coming in within the next 2 years to start, where you'll just hear somebody who is not a scientist and they're coming up with these technologies just from memory of what an extraterrestrial gave to them. And proof in the pudding, as we'll call it in Jamaica, because you're going to see that it really is sustaining. And what they're bringing in is helping us to kind of reset Gaia, help us to clean our waters up, help us to clean the earth, help us to start to clean back the air. Do you understand what I mean? So within the next few years, to begin, because more will happen, you'll hear people coming out to say, oh my gosh, I had this encounter with this extraterrestrial and they gave me this knowledge. Don't doubt it when it happens. They say pause and allow, because it's beginning for you to start to trust, to say, wow, did you see what came from that? We can trust this process as we evolve into more. So talking about technology we have now came from the knowingness from them. Although we weren't told, but we will know in time.
So intriguing.
Yeah.
One final quick question. Are they from other planets or other dimensions?
They're from other dimensions. And the first time I tried to explain it, I had to say, we have within our Earth sphere, within the Earth, we have many portals. And I remember the first time I started to perceive extraterrestrial, it almost felt as if our air or within the space was like an interdimensional airport. It was so busy, going, coming, going, coming. But then I started to understand it's not like just in the air. They're just portals all over the world, and mostly places that we revere, like places that we've put these big towers. We don't understand that unconsciously that was done for a purpose. So there are extraterrestrials within our seas, within the core of the earth, not like that, but coming from other dimensions, but rest there. There are extraterrestrials walking around you, in your workplace, in your homes. Do you know what I mean? Just aspects of it. And it's nothing to fear. It's just always been that way. Sometimes at the corner of our eyes, you'll perceive something, or you look at someone and you could have sworn you saw another face. However, that needed to happen. It's like having embedded beings among you to help to redirect you sometimes. However, it's graduated to the sense where now we need to perceive and know without a reasonable doubt that yes, we have support. Do you understand?
Wow.
So that's kind of where it is.
I think it's exciting.
It is.
I find it very fascinating. And everything that you have shared today, it's just mind blowing. I mean, you have brought back so many great lessons, with the things that you were told and you saw and you experienced in your life review and the White Mansion. I mean, there's just so much that I loved with your story. And I'm so grateful that you came and shared it today. I know that you connect with people and you can help people out. And I'm just curious, when people meet with you for a session, what kinds of things are you doing with them?
I find that the most prevalent thing that's happening now is soul healing. Each one is a little bit different according to what the person needs as a soul growth. But I don't come in with anything. I just have this sacred space that I sit in, and I allow my guides, the angels, and their guides to just open them up to whatever they need to receive. People who have had sessions with me can probably contest to this. It's pretty fun and exciting because I try to make it that way, but it brings forward some kind of truth to you that you needed right then. So that's it. I'm just a container, a conduit that allows whatever needs to come through to come through. That's it.
I love that. I may have to book a session with you. I also think your book sounds really
Oh
fascinating.
yeah.
So do you have
Yeah, 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 yeah.
a website, and where can people find your book? There's your book. It sounds really interesting. I haven't had the chance to pick it
Yeah.
up yet, but
Um my website now is souldeepconsciousness.love. And on my YouTube channel, all the links are there. This book is on Amazon right now. Archangel Michael guided me through this because within this book is the perspective and the aspects of which I got to take the fear, or kind of to rid the fear from my mom, my Jamaican mom, to finally accept, you know what? Okay, it's all right. And it helps you to see life the way the angels have taught me to see it. It's not a big read. I did it in a journal way because every time you finish a chapter, which is not long, I want you to reflect now on your life and how that affects you, because it's also meant to be healing for you. It's self-healing without sitting across the screen from me. When they did this, they said, this is simply self-healing, self-help, self-love and self-healing to them. And it's not religious. I wanted to call it boots on the ground, but Archangel Michael said, no, on my way to meet God, because we are ready to take away the convolution from the word God that everyone has tried to contain and own, that everyone starts to judge you the minute you say the word God, because they want to know what denomination, how do you pray? They want you to break the walls down and understand God is simply an extra, huge, infinite source of love. That's it. So that will be a beautiful read for somebody, or send it to somebody who's going through a hard time. Trust me, it's going to help them because I did it with love, and it's just a gift from them to you. That's it.
I love it. It does sound fascinating. This entire conversation has just been utterly fascinating. I am so happy that I've had the opportunity to talk with you and to share you with my audience.
Oh,
You really are a delight, Nikki.
thank you. I appreciate it. I thank you not only from me, but you're also a container of love. Because the choice that you made to do this wasn't exactly an easy one either. And you are one of the first lessons to say, you know what? It's okay to straighten your back and kind of take this journey that most human beings don't get to take, from your brain to your heart, and feel into something that's true to you, Heather, and really do it from your heart. And from that, nothing will emanate from your source of transmission except truth, holiness, and love. And for that, I thank you on behalf of every human being who will be healed from every message that comes from this channel. Okay?
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you. And I have a lot of healing still to do and just learning. And so I love connecting with you. And I love to know that there are resources out there,
absolutely.
books, and connecting with you, because I think it really helps all of
That's
us.
fine.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Nikki.
you. Thank you so much.
You, you have a wonderful
You
day.
too. Love and light.
Okay, I know that got long, but I loved talking to Nikki. She was so interesting. There were so many things she shared, so many lessons, so much wisdom, and just the things she saw and experienced. I loved it. I hope you did as well. She just was a fantastic guest. And I would love to know what stood out to you in the comments. There were so many things that maybe you just pick out one, because I had several things. I mean, well, I loved all of it, but I loved hearing about her actual near death experience and the things she saw. And then it was really interesting during her near death experience, this rehab area. That was really fascinating to me. Then she also talked about her life review and the three things she saw. And I thought those were such great lessons for all of us to take and to try to live better with those in mind. Outside of her near death experience, she talked about when she was on the phone with her mom, and then she had this vision of this white mansion, and that really was interesting, the lessons she brought back from that and what she was able to share with her mom. And I think it really hit home with me, and I hope it did with all of you as well. And then, of course, talking about the potentials that we could be seeing in the next few years. I mean, that was fascinating. And then one of those was knowing we're not alone. And that got into the discussion of other beings, other worldly beings. And that was fascinating to me. So there was just so much there. Please share what stood out to you. If you want to say something really simple, just that, hey, I liked it, or thank you, Nikki, that is great as well. You can say, I made it to the end. You can comment about Bubbie, anything like that. I just so appreciate any comment you give me, because it does make a difference in the growth of this channel. And right now it's kind of stalled, and I'd appreciate your help and support. And you can support it by just giving it a like, and also by sharing it with a friend. Share the link or just mention my podcast to them. I'd really appreciate that. And then also check to make sure that you are subscribed. Plus, there are now 2 more ways that you can support me. One is, if you look below, I now have a shop. So for any of you that want to get some merch, you want to get a t-shirt or anything, you can get it there. I'd love your support, but no obligation. It's there for any of you that want it. Same thing with memberships. I now have memberships, no obligation. And I'm still kind of figuring it all out and some of the details to it. But if you'd like to support me in that way, that would be wonderful. But I always want you to know that you never have to feel obligated, and you are welcome here no matter what. You don't have to do any of those things. And I still really appreciate you being here every single week. I really am grateful for all of you. If you want to know more details about Nikki, how to connect with her or her book, which sounds really interesting, and I plan to get it, you can find a link to her book that will be in the description. And you'll also find a link to how to connect with her. And the description is, right below the video. You can see the word more, click on that. Then you can see another word more in there and click on that, and it'll open it up even more. And that's where you'll find more information about Nikki. You'll also find a link there to all of my episodes. So when you're done with this one and you're waiting for another one, go check out some of those other episodes. There are so many great ones. And I hope you're going to keep coming back, because in the coming weeks and really in the coming months, I am going to have some fascinating guests. I just was at the IONS conference. I met so many amazing people with amazing stories, and I will be sharing them in the weeks to come. So I'm really, really excited about that. And I hope that you will be joining me. So thank you, everybody, for being here today. And I do hope I'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks for joining me on Beyond with Heather Tesch. Please add comments and questions you'd like future guests to answer. Also, if you liked what you heard, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. That'll help keep this podcast going. You can also go to Beyond with Heather Tesch to look for more episodes.